Hey there guys, PC Guy here, and it's been an interesting week in the tech and gaming world once again. I'm gonna start up with a little bit of the gaming scene, especially Riot Games. If you're a fan of the MOBA scene, you probably have heard of Riot long ago. They're the company behind League of Legends, one of the biggest MOBAs out there. If you aren't, well, you probably haven't heard of them because they have really not done a whole lot other than League of Legends in the past 10 years. Now, they've celebrated their 10-year anniversary now just this week, and they did treat us to quite a few surprises as a sort of celebration. As part of their many announcements that they did, they also announced a few upcoming projects that they have in the pipeline. Specifically, four that they have some interesting footage to go, and the other three that are really not that far along in the development, and it will still take a few years for us to actually see them playable and, seeing the light of day. But the ones that we do know right now are, other than League of Legends, of course, Teamfight Tactics, League of Legends Wild Rift, and Legends of Runeterra. Legends of Runeterra seems to be a competitor to card games like Hearthstone, for example. It is, well, what you'd expect from a card game. The specific mechanics will have to be seen when the game is actually launched, but as far as playability goes, that's basically what you can expect. As far as League of Legends Wild Rift goes, it's pretty straightforward. It's a mobile version of the traditional League of Legends game. It's a MOBA style, adapted to mobile, obviously. It's as well free to play, just like League of Legends is. Same time of monetization, as far as we are aware right now. And well, I am not a huge fan of playing on mobile, this type of games. I feel like it's a very small screen, but I am sure there will be a lot of people that will be interested in it. The last project is a bit further along that I mentioned is Teamfight Tactics. Now, Teamfight Tactics is a bit of a strange kind of little game. As you can see, you build a team of 7 elements, you power them up, and you fight against other people that are doing the same on the other side. And it's a bit like that, a bit more on the strategy side of things as opposed to the MOBA style of gameplay. Now this last one is still under early development, as you can see in the footage that we were able to see. It seems to be a shooter, kind of Overwatch style. Well, I am not actually sure what characters it will be playing, if it will be the same as a League of Legends universe, but that remains to be seen in the future. In addition to the games just mentioned, there's also in the pipeline a Diablo-style action RPG, also featuring the world of League of Legends. So that is also something to be quite interested about. However, the real thing behind this, and as interesting as some of these games sound, maybe you're into the genre, maybe not, so it might not be super interesting for you, some of these, but as a whole, it's pretty interesting to see a company branch out like this after having one single game for so long. But the most interesting part is that it seems to be a direct hit on Blizzard specifically. A lot of things that they mention on their questions and answers about the games that they are developing, and keep in mind they're still some far away, so complete fine details are far in between, but some of the criticism that they said is aimed specifically at issues that Blizzard's games have suffered, like the pay-to-win nature of Hearthstone with the randomness of getting cards in the packs. They say that their own card game, you will be able to actually choose the cards that you buy to combat that gambling side of things. Similarly, on the shooter that's in early development that I just let you guys see last, they also mention tackling some issues that Overwatch has been criticized for, such as spectator advantage if there's someone dead, calling out shots and stuff like that. That is all things that they mentioned they will address, and it does seem like it is aimed at taking a bit of Blizzard's market share. Specifically, given that the games themselves have the same type of genre, the same type of gameplay, so we'll have to see how that plays out, how popular they are, and most importantly, how good they actually are, and if the monetization issues that we all worry about so much these days will come to pass or not in these games. And to get the whole gaming thing out of the way, the Blizzard drama that I mentioned last week, I believe, still keeps on going. They have reduced, I'm not sure if I actually mentioned this last week already, but they have reduced Blitzchunk's suspension for 6 months down from a year and given his prize money back. They've reduced the Shoutcaster's suspension also to 6 months down from a year, which is still pretty much a career killer, really. But now, following up on the whole thing, an American university also did the same on live stream, holding up a sign, Free Hong Kong, boycott Blizzard. And at first they got no punishment at all, like zero, nothing. They even were booked for the next match in the competition with no comment at all on what happened. And now a week later, they too were banned for 6 months. They are completely okay with it, and they had withdrawn themselves from the competition because they didn't think it was fair that they got not even a word about it, considering what happened to Blitzchung. So all the power to them, really. They acted with the best sportsmanship you can ask for, really. They were real gentlemen about it. In any case, they have now been officially suspended for 6 months as well. This is obviously an attempt from Blizzard to balance the books. They're trying to get all the bad stuff out of the way, I suppose, now that BlizzCon is coming along. And yeah, it does not solve the issue, the underlying issue of the Chinese influence in Blizzard. It sounds really maybe racist when you say it like that, but that's not what I mean. It's not the fact that they're Chinese, it's the fact of the censorship that they try to apply to what people say on platforms that are basically global. So that is the issue here, and it goes as far as Blizzard banning people from their Twitch chats if they say something like "Free Hong Kong." And yes, it is off topic, it is not related to the game, but if you go check the rules on the stream that you have to follow, the whole, don't post spam links, don't advertise, blah blah blah, no racist comments, that sort of thing. Nothing of that mentions giving your opinion on current geopolitical matters. So no rules are being broken, yet people are being temporarily banned from the chat for making comments like that. So it is still a really tangled web. I am curious to see how it will develop, not right now, but in the future, in the whole gaming industry, what kind of influence will this whole subject have? But that's a topic for the future, so let's get on with the tech news now. A few leaked Intel slides have been on the news earlier this week because of, well, not the best reasons. Apparently, their strategy to compete with AMD is not really releasing better products, but specifically having $3 billion, which is quite a lot of money when you compare how small AMD is, for the pure purpose of meeting the competitors' offers and while lowering their prices, and by that way cutting into Intel's own income up to an amount of $3 billion. That's the budget that they have for this initiative, as to give partners and integrators discounts on Intel parts to entice them to go for Intel in place of AMD. So this is their answer to AMD. It's just throwing money at it and hope that people will still go for Intel, even though they have the inferior product right now. It's not even a question. Anything on the mid-range and low-range, Ryzen has destroyed completely Intel's offerings. At the high range, at the 9900K, Intel has a slight advantage in the single core performance. Completely that gets devastated in everything else, and then there's the whole vulnerabilities issue on Intel's side to worry about. And let's not get started on the whole server side of things where Epic just completely destroys Intel's offerings on that product. So yeah, it seems like this is Intel's strategy for this. It's just throwing money at AMD and hoping to just bury it under the whole dollar bill signs. Intel server CPUs are also going to be getting a new socket next generation. Apparently starting on 2022, they will be getting the LGA4677 socket, which will then support PCIe Gen 5 and DDR5 memory. So we can probably expect DDR5 memory to be coming to the market in the next few years. I wouldn't say next year, but starting maybe 2022, 2023, it might actually arrive at the customer side of things at our own desktops here at home. And well, these will support these sockets. I mean, will support Intel's 10nm++ Sapphire Rapids as well as 7nm Granite Rapids Xeon CPUs. Now, we all know how Intel's move to lower manufacturing processes like 10 and 7nm has been going. We've been getting tons of generations of 14nm plus, and yeah, we'll see how that goes and if actually is on schedule. Some news have also been floating this week that Intel had completely scrapped 10nm in favor of moving to 7nm entirely in one go. That turns out to probably not be true. Intel have kind of halfway denied it, so probably not really a true rumor. But in any case, that would probably take them even longer if they actually went that route. It remains to be seen how much better Intel CPUs will be with these different manufacturing processes, and if it is actually worth the wait. If not, they might actually be in deep trouble with AMD Zen just keep getting better and better. The next one is kind of a leak story, but video cards is a pretty good track record when it comes to things like this, and they claim to have had access to some confidential AMD documents, which might not be valid anymore, but they were at the time that they received them, so take it with a big bucket of salt because we really never know. And they seem to hint that AMD is preparing a Threadripper's 3960X, 3970X, and 3990X, apologies, it's a lot of numbers. The first two of these, the 60 and 70X variants, will be revealed supposedly on November the 5th, and the sales and reviews will start flowing in on November the 19th. As far as the 3990X, it will also be announced on the 5th of November, but it won't be here until January. So there's not a whole lot that we can know about it until it actually is revealed. Now, it is a bit scarce on actual details like clock speeds, core counts, and things like that, but we can expect it to be a lot higher than their mainstream offerings and probably higher than the 3950X. I mean, otherwise, what would be the point on having higher SKUs? As far as motherboard support goes, the TRX40 chipset that we have mentioned a few weeks back had also been kind of dug out of some leaks, will be also unveiled on November the 5th, but the sales will not be available until November the 19th, which makes sense because you wouldn't have a CPU to put in there anyway. A few reports have been also flowing in regarding Intel's Xe graphics cards that were slated to be somewhere next year coming to market, and the latest reports seem to indicate that it will be around the mid-section of the year, and this kind of matches up with what we were kind of halfway expecting, because Raju Kadori, Intel's chief architect for the graphics card department, had posted a few weeks back a picture of his car with a license plate Think XE with a date of June 2020. So it kind of was perhaps a little hint, perhaps a spoiler, or maybe perhaps they're just playing games with us. In any case, until they are actually here, we don't have much concrete to go on about this. These GPUs will be 10 nanometer. They are expected to be targeted mostly at data centers first, although I expect the gaming part of things to follow not very far behind. And well, we don't know much about the architecture, and well, we don't even know if they will have actual ray tracing or not. So it has not been confirmed, it has not been denied, so it's all a bit in the air. And again, we'll just have to wait until next year to find out. Nvidia has just put their GeForce Now APK for Android up for download. It's still in beta, as far as I could read from this article, so don't get all your hopes up. And it seems to be a gaming stream type of solution like Stadia intends to be. It will be charging per hour in place of a subscription per month as Stadia will have, and it will supposedly link up with places like Steam, Epic Games, Battle.net, and such to provide you with the games that you will be able to play and stream on your apparently Android device. I'll be honest, I have not followed this in great detail because the whole game streaming thing, it does seem to me like it's a great idea that is still extremely flawed in this industry. So I'm not really super hyped about it, to be honest, but we'll see how it pans out and if it is actually worth the money. If there is ever like an open beta or something that people can actually try, then I might give it a go and let you guys see how good it actually is. Otherwise, I don't think I will personally bother as a consumer to actually go out and get it to enjoy playing on it. Now, for the last piece, there has been some other rumor. It's a rumor land right now that the PS5 will not be on sale until late 2020, probably around December or the holiday period. We'll see how that pans out. I would expect it to be on sale a little bit earlier to cash in on the whole Black Friday craze and that sort of thing. So that seems to me like a more realistic scenario. But if not, then there is always the Christmas period that a lot of people will probably buy PS5s for Christmas as their sort of Christmas present. So that's also a pretty good alternative. But yeah, you have to take into account just how many PlayStation 5s they have to make, because they're probably going to sell like hotcakes. So they do need to stock up quite nicely on them beforehand. Now, this has been it for the week. There is a lack of solid information in Intel on a lot of things, and I don't mean Intel the company, I mean Intel as in information. On a lot of things right now, it's a lot of rumors. There's not much concrete on many subjects that I have touched, so apologies for that. We do what we can with what we have, and I don't have a lot of insider sources to actually report on things with more accuracy and more detail, so I just have to do what I can. In any case, this has been Attic PC Guy. I hope you guys have enjoyed this news segment and it's useful to you for you to keep up with the news of the week. Hope I'll see you in the next video. Drop a comment down below or like the video if you enjoyed it. Consider subscribing to the channel if you want to see it grow in the future and cover a wider and better variety of topics. And I will hopefully see you next time.